Guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read 2 Samuel 4-8, 4-9, Proverbs 13, and Psalm 137. Let's get started. When Ishbosheth, Saul's son, heard that Abner had died at Hebron, his courage failed, and all Israel was dismayed. Now Saul's son had 2 men who were captains of raiding bands. The name of the one was Banner, and the name of the other Rechab, sons of Herman, a man of Benjamin from Beeroth. Jonathan, the son of Saul, had a son who was crippled in his feet. He was 5 years old. And the news about Saul and Jonathan came from Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled, and she fell in her head. He fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth. And the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, Rechab and Banner, set out, and about the heat of the day they came into the house of Ishbosheth as he was taking his midday rest. And they came into the house as if to get weak, and they stabbed him in the stomach. And Rechab and his Banner, his brother, escaped. And they came and Rechab and his Banner, his brother, escaped. When they came into the house, as he lay on his bed in the bedroom, they struck him and put him to death and beheaded him. They took his head and went by the way of Arabah by night. And brought the head of Ishbosheth to David at Hebron. And they said to the king, "Here's the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, your enemy. He sought your life. And the Lord has avenged my lord the king this day on Saul and his offspring." But David answered Rechab and Banner, his brother, the sons of Rimmon the Beerothite, "As the Lord lives, who has redeemed my life out of every adversary?" And one told me, "Behold, Saul is dead," and thought he was bringing good news. I seized him and killed him at Ziklag, which was the reward I gave him for the news. And how is wrong when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house on his bed? Shall I not now require his blood at your hand, or destroy you from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they killed him and cut off their hands and feet and hanged them beside the pool at Hebron. They took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner at Hebron. And all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said, "Oh, we are your bone and flesh. In times past when Saul was king over us, it was you who led us out and brought in Israel." Mom, could I have a blue tissue from the?
갑자기 그러지?
No, not that blue. The blue one from. And the Lord said to you, "You shall be shepherd of my people." Wait. How much more, when wicked men have killed a righteous man in his own house on his bed, should I now not require his blood at your hand and destroy you from the earth? And David commanded his young men, and they killed them and cut off their hands and feet and hanged them beside the pool at Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the tomb of Abner at Hebron. And all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said, "Oh, we are your bone and flesh. In times past, when Saul was king over us, it was you who led us out and brought in Israel. And the Lord said to you, 'You shall be shepherd of my people Israel, and shall be prince of Israel.' So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them at Hebron before the Lord. And they anointed David king over Israel. And David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. At Hebron he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and at Jerusalem he reigned over all Israel and Judah 33 years. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem against the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, who said to David, 'You will not come in here, the blind and the lame will ward you off.' Think, David cannot come in here. Nevertheless, David took a stronghold as that is, the city of David. And then David said on that day, Whoever would strike the Jebusites, let him go up to the water shaft to attack the lame and blind, who are hated by David's soul. Therefore it is said, blind and the lame shall not come into the house. And David lived in a stronghold and called it the city of David. And David built the city all around from the Miller inward. And David became greater and greater, for the Lord the God of hosts was with him. And in Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David and set a truth. As to carpenters and masons who built David a house. And David knew that the Lord had established him king over Israel and had exalted his kingdom for the sake of his people Israel. And David took more concubines and wives from Jerusalem after he came from Hebron, and more sons and daughters were born to David. And these are the names of those who were born to him in Jerusalem: Shammah, Shobab, Nathan, Solomon, Ibhar, Elishua, Nepheg, Japhia, Elishama, Eliada, and Eliphalet. And the Philistines heard that David had been anointed king over Israel, all the Philistines went up to search for David. And David heard of it and went down to the stronghold. Now all the Philistines had come and spread out in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, shall I go up against the Philistines? Will you give them into my hand? And the Lord said to David, go up, for I will certainly give the Philistines into your hand. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David defeated them there. And he said, the Lord has broken through my enemies before me like a breaking flood. Therefore the name of that place is called Baal Perazim. And the Philistines left their idols there. And David and his men carried them away. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread out in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, you shall not go around to their right hand and come against them opposite the balsam tree. And when you hear the sound of marching in the tops of the balsam trees, and rouse yourself. Now the Lord has gone out before you to strike down the army of the Philistines. Then David did as the Lord commanded him, and struck down the Philistines from Geba to Gaza. And David again gathered all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people who were with him to Baal, Judah, to bring up from there the ark of the God, which is called by the name of the Lord of hosts. Lord of hosts, and who sits enthroned on the cherubim. And they carried the ark of God on a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. And Uzzah and Ahio, sons of Abinadab, were driving the new cart, and the ark of God, and Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel were celebrating before the Lord with songs and lyres and harps and tambourines and castanets and cymbals. And they came to the threshing floor and Nachim. Uzzah put out his hand to the Lord, ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen stumbled. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God struck him down there because of his error. And he died there beside the ark of God. And David was angry because the Lord had broken out against Uzzah. And the place is called Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day. And he said, how can the ark of the Lord come to me? So David was not willing to take the ark of the Lord into the city of David. And David took it aside to the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord remained in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, the Lord has blessed the household of Obed-Edom and all that belongs to it. It was the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom to the city of David with rejoicing. And those who bore the ark of the Lord had gone 6 steps. He sacrificed an ox and a fattened animal. And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was wearing a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the horn. As the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, the daughter of Saul, looked out of the window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. And they brought the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the tent that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And when David had finished offering the burnt offerings and the peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts, and distributed among all the people. The whole multitude of Israel, both men and women, a cake of bread, a portion of meat, and a cake of raisins to each one. Then all the people departed, each to his own house. And David returned to bless his house. Now Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how will the king of Israel honor himself today, uncovering himself today before the eyes of his servants, female servants? And it is one of the vulgar fellows shamelessly uncovers himself. And David said to Michal, it was before the Lord, who chose me above your father and above all his house, to appoint me as prince over Israel. the people of the Lord, and I will celebrate before the Lord. I will make myself yet more contemptible than this, and I will be abased in your eyes. But by the female servants of whom you have spoken, and I think I shall be held in honor. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child to the day of her death. Now, when the king lived in his house, and the Lord had given him rest from the surrounding enemies, the king said to Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in the house of Sarah, but the ark of God dwells in a tent. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for the Lord is with you. That same night the word of the Lord came to Nathan, Go and tell my servant David, Thus says the Lord, Would you build me a house to dwell in? I have not lived in a house since the day I brought up my people, and the people from Israel from Egypt to this day. And I have been moving about in a tent for my dwelling, in all places, I have made with all the people of Israel. Do I speak a word with any of the judges of Israel, whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, saying, Why have you not built me a house, etc.? Now therefore, thus you shall say to my servant David, Thus says the Lord of hosts, I took you from the pasture, from following the sheep, that you should be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you went, and have cut off all your enemies from before you. And I'll make for you a great name, like the name of the great ones of the earth. And I'll appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, so that they may dwell in their own place and be disturbed no more. And violent men shall afflict them no more as formerly, from the time that I appointed judges over my people Israel. And I'll give you rest from all your enemies, wherever the Lord declares to you that the Lord will make you a house. When your days are fulfilled and you lie down with your fathers, I'll raise up your offspring after you, who shall come from your body, and I'll establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son, when he commits iniquity, and I will discipline him with the rod of men, with the stripes of the sons of men. But my steadfast love will not depart, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away from before you. And your throne and your kingdom shall not be made sure forever before me. Your throne shall be established forever, in accordance with all the words, and in accordance with all this vision. Nathan spoke to David. And King David went in and sat before the Lord, and said, Who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house that you have brought me thus far? And yet this is a small thing in your eyes, O Lord God. You have spoken as of your servant's house for a great while to come. And this is the instruction of mankind, for mankind, O Lord God. And what more can David say to you? You know your own servant, O Lord. Your own servant. O Lord, because you have promised, and according to your own heart, you have brought about all this greatness to make your servant die. Therefore you are great, O Lord God, for there is none like you, and there is no God besides you, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And who is like your people Israel, the one nation on earth whom God wanted to redeem to his people, making himself a name and doing for them great and awesome things by driving out before your people. He may redeem for yourself from Egypt a nation and its gods, and he established yourself for your people of Israel, your people Israel, to be your people forever. And you, O Lord, became their God. And now, O Lord God, confirm forever the word that you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house, and do as you have spoken, and your name will be magnified forever, saying, The Lord of hosts is God over Israel, and the house of your servant David will be established before you. For you, O Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, made this revelation to your servant, saying, I will build your house. Therefore your servant have found courage to pray this prayer to you. And now, O Lord God, you are good, God, and your words are true, and you have promised this good thing to your servant. And now therefore may it please you to bless the house of your servant, so that it may continue forever before you. For you, O Lord God, have spoken, and with your blessing shall the house of your servant be blessed forever. After this, David defeated the Philistines sons of Judah. And David took Methegama out of the hand of the Philistines. And he defeated Moab, and he measured them with a line, making them lie down on the ground. 2 lines he measured to be put to death, and 1 full line to be spared. And the Moabites became servants to David and brought tribute. David also defeated Hadadezer, the son of Rahab, king of Zobah, as he went to restore his power at the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,700 horsemen and 220,000 foot soldiers. And David hamstrung all the chariot horses, but left enough for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to help Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 men of the Syrians. And David put garrisons in Aram of Damascus, And the Syrians became summons to David and brought tribute. And the Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. And David took the shields of gold that were carried by the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. And from Bether and from Berothai, the cities of Hadadezer, King David took very much more of bronze. And Toy, king of Hamath heard that David had defeated the whole army of Hadadezer. Toy sent his son Joram to King David to ask about his health and to bless him because he had fought against Hadadezer and defeated him. Hadadezer had often been at war with Toy, and Joram brought with him articles of silver, of gold, and of bronze. These also King David dedicated to the Lord, together with the silver and gold that he dedicated from all the nations he subdued, from Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Philistines, and Malek, from the spoil of Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zebah. And David made a name for himself when he returned from striking down 18,000 Edomites in the valley of Saul. Then he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom, he put garrisons, and all the Edomites became David's servants. And the Lord gave victory to David wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel. And David administered justice and equity to all his people. Now the son of Zeruiah was over the army, and Jehoshaphat the son of Ahilud was recorded. Azariah the son of Ahitub and Ahimelech the son of Abiathar were priests, and Seraiah was secretary. Benaiah the son of Jehoiada was over the Cherethites and Pelethites, and David's sons were priests. And David said, "Is there still anyone left for the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake?" Now there was a servant in the house of Saul, whose name was Ziba, and they called him to David. And the king said to him, "Are you Ziba?" And he said, "I am a servant." And the king said, Is there not still someone of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of God to?" Ziba said to the king, "There is still a son of Jonathan. He's crippled and speak." The king said to him, "Where is he?" And Ziba said to the king, "He is in the house of Machir and the son of Amiel at Lodabar." And King David sent and brought him from the house of Machir, the son of Amiel, at Lodabar. And Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, son of Saul, came to David, fell on his face, and paid homage. And David said, "Do not fear, for I will show you kindness for the sake of your father Jonathan, and I will restore to you all the land I saw your father, and you shall eat at my table always." And he paid homage and said, "What is your servant, that you should show regard for a dead dog such as I?" And the king called Ziba, Saul's servant, and said to him, "All that belongs to Saul or to all his house I have given to your master's grandson, and you and your sons and your servants shall till the land for him. You shall bring him the produce, that your master's grandson may have bread to eat. Mephibosheth, your master's grandson, shall always eat at my table." And Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. And Ziba said to the king, "According to all that my lord the king commands," and answered said, "So will your servant do." So Mephibosheth ate at David's table like one of the king's sons. And Mephibosheth had a young son whose name was Micah, and who lived in Ziba's house, who became Mephibosheth's servants. So Mephibosheth lived in Jerusalem, for he ate always at the king's table, and he was lame in both his feet. Proverbs 13. A wise son hears his father's instruction, but a scoffer does not listen to rebuke. From the fruit of his mouth a man eats what is good, and the desire of the treasures of lions. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. The soul of the slow craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. The righteous hates falsehood, but the wicked bring shame and disgrace. Righteousness guards him who has way is blameless, but sin overthrows the wicked. One pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. The ransom of a man's life is wealth, but a poor man is no threat. The light of the righteous rejoices, and the lamp of the wicked will be put out. By insolence comes nothing but strife, but with those who take advice is wisdom. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle. Whoever gathers little by little will increase. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Whoever despises the word brings destruction on himself, but he who reveres the commandment will be rewarded. The teaching of the wise is a fountain of life, and one may turn away from the snares of death. The earth wins favor, with the way of the treacherous is thereof. Every prudent man acts with knowledge, but a fool flaunts his folly. A wicked messenger falls into trouble, but a faithful envoy brings healing. And poverty and disgrace come to him, and he ignores instruction, but whoever heeds reproof is honored. The desire fulfilled is sweet to the soul, but to turn away from evil is an abomination to fools. Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Desires to pursue sins, but the righteous are rewarded with good. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Sin's wealth is laid up for the righteous. Who follow ground of the poor would yield much food, but it is swept away through injustice. Whoever spares the Lord hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him. Righteousness is not to satisfy his appetite, but the belly of the wicked suffers want. Psalm 137. By the waters of Babylon, there we sat down and wept. Everybody remembers the willows, there we hung out our lives. How there our captors required us songs, and our tormentors mirth. Sing us one of the songs of Zion. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a foreign land? If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget its skill. Let my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth if I do not remember you. If I did say Jerusalem, above my highest joy. Remember, O Lord, against the admires the dear Jerusalem, how they said, lay it bare, down to its foundations. A daughter of Babylon, doomed to be destroyed. Blessed shall he be who repays with what you have done to her. Blessed shall he be who takes your little ones and dashes them against the rock. Now the stone I should answer the Lord's prayer. Please pray, as the Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. When kingdom come, you be on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and close their debts as you are forgiven their debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.